Hello, hello, and welcome to Bla Bla Black Sheep, a weekly yarny podcast where I, Sarah Korth of SEK Handmade, answer your yarny questions. Welcome. Hey, how's it going? Oh, it's going good here. I have some fun things to share with you and some very interesting questions. So, yeah, welcome. I'd love it if you'd subscribe. I'm just going to say that right here. I would love it. It would mean a lot to me if you would subscribe to my channel. Check out all of my other videos. You guys, I have so much stuff. So other than Bla Bla Black Sheep, of which there are now 46 episodes, I also have a whole bunch of Meet the Maker interviews, which are so fun. A bazillion tutorials. If you're left-handed, I haven't left you out. I've been bolstering my left-handed tutorials so that students of mine and all the peoples out there who are left-handed can have tutorials that show them the way that they work. Yeah, so thanks for being here and thanks for being amazing. Today, I'm going to be wearing my Winslow cowl. You guys, I don't know. I'm cold today. I'm just chilly. It's cool outside this morning. And so I'm going to wear my Winslow cowl because it's so cozy. And I have to go run errands later, so I definitely want to be cozy. It's been kind of nice, and so I've been really being a baby about wearing a coat. I just don't want to, and so I don't. And I'm a grown-up, so no one can make me. So I have my tall Winslow cowl here. There's a short version. This is my mohair and fingering weight yarn version. I have a worsted weight version in the tall and the small, I guess I'm calling them. And so a 3-color fade instead of 2 like this. So there you go. Check it out. All the links will be in the show notes. What I'm going to do to wear this today, because this is super tall, so if it was like really stinking cold and snowing outside and I was going to like actually be outside walking, I just slip it over my head and then like cozy it up by my ears. I can almost lift it over my head to wear like a hooded cowl, but I don't need that because I also have a hat that matches. But today when I'm inside, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the bottom, because I want this nice fuzziness up by my face. I'm going to take the bottom, I'm going to fold it up. I'm not going to fold it completely in half. I'm just going to kind of go where the fading starts between the 2 colors. And then I'm going to slip it over with the floofy side on top. And I'm going to try to not get a bunch of mohair in my mouth. There we go. Okay. And then I'm just going to smoosh that down over so that it's cozy, but not too warm. And then I'm going to fix my hair. So there you go. Very, very cozy. I love this, and I love having, this is, oh my gosh, this is the Fiberco's Zero yarn that's at the top here, and I just love it the most. It's like no other fuzzy yarn that I've ever worked with before. It is so soft. There is 0 itch factor, and it just gives the nicest floof, and it's so cozy. So there, I think I'm good. I folded the top down a little bit too because I want you to see my earrings. And there you go. I will have links to the pattern, to the matching patterns, the hat, and there's a cozy, so all 3 tiers, and to the Fiber Co. So if you want to buy yarn to make it like mine, you can. Or if you want to try the Zero yarn, we'll talk about this more in a bit, but they just came out with their spring collection, and I'm pretty sure one of them is a top that's made out of Zero. And I thought, well, that just has to be the softest thing ever. So I'll put links, all the links, and you can check it out. Oh, what is bringing me joy? You guys, I talked about how the weather was being weird, and it is being like supremely weird. We've had no snow since the kind of like blizzard of a few weeks ago when we got like 15 inches of snow in like 2 days. It's warmed up. Most of the snow is melted. But yesterday, we had what they called freezing fog. It was wild. So I woke up and everything looked normal except for it was really foggy outside. But then when I was teaching a learn to crochet class at my local yarn shop yesterday, when I was driving to the yarn shop, I was like, holy cow, it's crazy out here. And as I got closer to where the river was right up by the road, so like more fog, it got more and more intense. So what was happening is there was fog, but then the temperature in the air was cold enough that the fog was freezing on all the things. So like all the plants had like ice crystals on them. It was so cool. I wish, not that I didn't want to be going to teach because I love teaching, but I wish I had had the time to like stop and walk around and really like look at things because it was so cool. My husband took Weston for a walk. So I took a couple pictures like out my car window as I was like stopped at stoplights. So they're not amazing. But my husband took a couple pictures. He admits that he's not a great photographer and said his aren't amazing either, but it gives you an idea of what it was like. It was so cool. They claimed freezing fog again today. There is none of it. Everything looks normal. Frankly, I'm disappointed. But it was really cool. It was really cool. If it happens again, I'll take more pictures and maybe some video and stuff. So cool. It's going to be 50 later this week, which is wild and wacky. My youngest is like, there's not going to be any more snow. And I'm like, it's probably going to snow in April. We'll see. You just never know. Oh dear, fuzz on my coffee cup. All right. Oh, let's bring that back up here. Let's talk small businesses. You guys, today I am drinking out of one of my favorite mugs. You know me. I love mugs. They're all my favorite. This is a mug by Earth Love by Danny. I love the carving. I love the bumblebees. I love the glaze on top. It's just so pretty. I was on my socials, Instagram really, and I noticed that she had a post, Danny, the maker, who's very nice. I've chatted with her a couple times. She has to have a surgery. I'm trying to remember. I really should look these things up before I start talking about them. I think you can go back to her social media and look for sure. I think she had a knee surgery. She needs to have it again for some reason. And so she was saying, like, if there's something in the shop you like and you'd like to support me, now would be a great time because surgeries are stupid expensive. She has a lot of cute Valentine's stuff in her shop right now. She has like mugs that are shaped like hearts and some bowls and vases and stuff. They're very cute. So highly recommend. Good quality. I think great prices, and support a small business owner. Yay. My earrings that I adjusted my cowl just so you could see, are by, I just want to get this right, Olivia Carey Designs. I bought 2 pairs of earrings from her. They are so cute. And I really like them. They are leather, so they're nice and lightweight, which I love. Like, they don't swing because they're stuck on my cowl. But I love that real bold black and white design. I'll just be able to wear them with everything. And I love it. I love it. And then you guys, 2 unboxings in a row. What? I have, A big whiff of the poly mailer when I flung it up there. Okay, so I had an idea a while back that I love local yarn shops. That's not an idea I had. It's just a fact. And I've had a lot of support of local yarn shops that ask me and allow me to come teach. And last year when local yarn shop day happened, I saw lots of bigger companies having a local yarn shop pattern that they would give shop owners a special coupon code, and then when you buy yarn from the yarn shop, you get their pattern for free. I also saw several knit designers offer this, but I didn't see any crochet. And you know what? The yarn shops that I go teach at obviously love and support crocheters too. And so I thought local yarn shop day needs a crochet pattern. So that's what I'm going to do. So I've been thinking about it for quite a while. You know me, I'm a planner, a header, and an obsessive thinker. So I've been thinking about this for a while, and I was, again, when I was in Arizona, I spent a lot more time on my phone scrolling through social media, because when you're in the hospital, there's only so much you can do. And so I was scrolling through my social media, and up pops a post from February Fiber Co. Jess is the owner. She is awesome. She and I have chatted a lot. She's taken part in the WIP wrap-ups, which is super fun, and I love seeing her yarn and what she makes out of her yarn. So one of her posts popped up, and it was a new colorway she was offering, and I was like, oh, I love that. And so I reached out to her. I said, hey, I'm doing this crazy thing with local yarn shop day. Can I use your yarn for that? And she was like, yes, of course. And so we chit-chatted, and I bought some yarn. And so it just came, and I thought, I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait and open it with you guys. You can see I've cut open the package. I am unnecessarily nervous about cutting open packages with yarn in them. Have I ever cut through yarn as I opened a package? No. Am I terrified that I'm going to not cut carefully enough and like snip through some of the yarn when I open a package of yarn? Every time. Every time I'm terrified. So I cut it open, but now we're going to open it together. So it says, thank you. Oh, fun. There are some little stickers. I love it. She did a dolly collection. Oh, fun, fun, fun. Okay. They are just as good as I thought they would be. Okay, so it's 2 skeins of the same colorway. And they're amazing. I put the crinkly stuff down on the floor. What? Look at that. So it's a gray base, which you know I love, a nice cool gray, with all sorts of gorgeous, bold speckles in it. So Jess and I talked for a while. She said, what base do you want? And I said, I'm always drawn towards fingering, but that means I do a lot of things in fingering, so maybe I should do something else. And she was like, I don't know, I just love fingering. So she encouraged my continued obsession with fingering weight yarn. So we chose fingering weight. It is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. It is 437 yards per 100 grams. And the colorway is called Friendship Bracelets. This is in her shop, so if you want to get it, I will link directly. I'll link to her shop, and then I'll also link to the colorway so that you can grab this if you want to. And oh, look at that. How cute is that? She also sent a little stitch marker with it. That's adorable. Cute little cloud. I love it. I love it. Oh gosh. Okay. So I will keep you, a local yarn shop day is not until the end of April. So it's a ways coming, but I like to plan ahead because the process is I have the idea. I need to get the supplies. I need to try the idea and see if it works, which it doesn't always. I need to create the sample, type the pattern, take the pictures, put it into testing, give the testers plenty of time to test it, get the test back, make my edits, send it to my tech editor, get it back, make more edits. So it's a process. So that's on track and I'm excited. I'm very excited for that. So go check out Jess's yarn at February Fiber Co. All the links below. It rhymes. Okay, announcements. I had a new pattern come out February 1st. It is a pattern I did for the Fiber Co. It is the Maurice wrap, and you guys, I'm real proud of it. It's beautiful. I'll put some pictures up here. Like I said, I did this pattern for them, so they have full rights to it, which means to purchase it, you have to go to their website and purchase. They do a shared profit. So when sales of the pattern happen, they do pay me a small commission for those pattern sales, which is cool, but I won't ever be selling the pattern myself. It's theirs to keep. So if you want it, go to the Fiber Co. They're a great company. They worked with me on my Winslow collection. They were very supportive there. And so it's great yarn, great company. Highly recommend all around. And I hope you love my wrap. The whole theme of their spring summer line is the ocean. And I think the Maurice wrap really gives ocean vibes. Other announcements. We're going to have a new event in February, which is this month. It's going to go the last 2 weeks of February and the first 2 weeks of March. So it's going to be a month long. I love those month long, like, let's be chill, let's not rush and like panic about things. We don't need more stress in our lives. It's going to be an event that encourages you to use up scraps of yarn. I don't know about you, but I got lots of scraps. I don't throw things away. And so we're going to do some scrappy projects and it's going to be lots of fun. The event is going to be called Who Gives a Scrap? Which I love. And so keep an eye out for more information about that coming up. Tomorrow, I won't sing. Tomorrow, my Advent shawl comes out. This is the Lumi shawl, and it's giant and gorgeous, and I'm just so thrilled by this. If you are watching on Wednesday or before 4:30 CST on Thursday, and you're not a part of my email list, go sign up for my email list, and you get the best discount. There you go. Yeah, those are my announcements. Let's do some questions. All right. I have not had a question submitted. Well, I have not had a lot of questions submitted recently. I've had some questions submitted. I was going to say I haven't had, but yes, I've had a few. But I'd love some more questions to be submitted. So if you have a question that you would like answered on the Bla Bla Black Sheep podcast, whether it's about, specifically yarny things, if it's about teaching yarn, if it's about learning yarn craft, if it's about being a designer, ask away. I would love to answer. Okay, question number 1. I'm going to preface this by saying that this question is I don't know. It's not about a... Okay, I'm just going to read the question and then I'm going to talk to you about it. So, I've seen snippets about a controversy going on in the crochet community, but I don't fully understand what the issue is. If a pattern is free, does it matter who shares it and in what detail? The designer isn't going to get paid for it anyway. I genuinely like to understand. Okay, here's the thing. Generally, I don't like to get involved in drama. But I don't think that this is drama. Okay? I think that A, it is genuinely hurt feelings, and B, though I have not dove in deep to all of the comments and stuff, every place that I've heard this, that I've seen this be discussed among crochet designers, everyone has been very respectful. No one has called this person names. No one has attacked this person. But there are genuine hurt feelings about how this situation was handled. So I'm going to give a brief overview of the situation without naming names because I don't think that it's to me, the point of answering this question and what this person really wanted to genuinely know is the reasoning behind the hurt feelings and not to dig up dirt on the controversy, which I'm saying there isn't really a controversy, if that makes any sense. So what has happened is you guys, I always feel weird when I say these things because I'm not a person who's super in the know of social media culturally things. So I'm going to say from my perspective, an influencer who is pretty big in my book, to other people that she might be small potatoes, but she's a pretty big influencer with a large following. She recently started to crochet, and that's fun. I think a lot of people in the crochet world, when we saw her first starting to crochet, we were like, that's great. It was very I've picked up this thing. It's really helped me with my anxiety. And yay, right? We all want more crocheters. That's a good thing. Recently, however, this influencer started crocheting a specific pattern. And she did not immediately give credit to the designer. There's been some mixed sightings, I guess, of how and whether or not even she has given credit to the designer. I do know that when she first started posting about it, she said, I don't know where this came from. And the designer found out and had to advocate for herself, telling everyone, this is my pattern, this is my pattern, this is my pattern, this is my pattern. That's a lot of work for a designer. And you might have noticed by my sassy tone that I don't appreciate that I don't know where this came from. Because you found it once, you can find it again. And especially when she is not an influencer like I'm an influencer. She's so large that she has a team. I have a me, she has a team. So between her and her team, they should have been able to find this ahead of time before they shared. Nothing irks me more. I may be being a little dramatic, but it does really frustrate me when people claim to be for creativity take other people's work and share it without giving that person due credit. I'm not even going to pretend to know when. A while back, but I was irritated enough that it's real stuck with me. A while back, a very large yarn company that I'm not going to name, but I remember because I was very irritated with them, shared on their social media a picture of a piece of, like an art piece of glass, that the glass, it wasn't blown glass, so she wasn't a glass blower, glass artist, glass maker. She had knit using glass. You guys, it was so cool. But this company hadn't bothered to take the time to find out if the artist was on the different social medias and then appropriately tag that designer, that artist. It took me, like, I saw that and I was like, that's so cool. I wonder who it is. It took me 10 seconds of the tippy tapping on Instagram, which is the social media I was on, to find that designer and be able to go back to that post and say, this work was so cool by so-and-so, so that she could get the recognition she deserved. It feels icky to me when people use other people's art to bolster or just as content, because we know content's hard if you're running a business or you're just a person. Like, if you want to grow, they tell you got to be consistent, you got to post all the time. We're not going to argue about that. That's a whole different story. But when you fill your feed with other people's art and you don't give them credit, that feels incredibly icky to me, especially when you're not just like Jane down the street, but you're someone who has a team, a company, an influencer with like a whole staff behind them. Even if it's just like one other person, like between the two of you, you could have figured it out. I don't know how big this person's staff is. So that is how I think the crochet design community felt betrayed. Here you are, a large influencer with a staff who says, and probably genuinely means, that you want to support creative people and that you are for artists. But then when you do something like this, where you share someone else's art and go, I don't know where it came from, that's not okay. The other thing that I know is that this influencer continued to share and made an entire YouTube video of her own on her channel about this crochet design that was someone else's. That bothers me. I'm going to speak for myself. That bothers me for two reasons. One, being in these other design groups or groups of crochet designers, I know for a fact that there were several people who reached out to this influencer and said, hey, this is who this is by. It's important that you recognize that and promote the designer, not just yourself. And I know that there were people who went to this influencer's team and said the same thing. So continued ignorance about where this design came from and what was appropriate feels disingenuous to me, because I know that people had reached out to her in concern, her and her team in concern, and had there been questions about what was appropriate and not, and had there been a genuine concern about what was best for the original artist and designer, and they didn't know, let's give the benefit of the doubt and say that this person didn't know enough about the crochet world and the design world to know what was appropriate. They've just been contacted by several experienced crochet individuals and leaders in the community that they could have then reached out to and said, hey, we'd like to do this. Is that appropriate? And it seems that they chose not to. So that's where the hurt feelings come. I want to draw a line or 2 lines about taking other people's, about creating educational content off of other people's work. Are there lots of designs out there that don't have video tutorials or any sort of tutorial directly linked to that pattern? Absolutely. That is absolutely a designer's prerogative as to whether they want to provide tutorials specifically for their pattern. If a designer does not have tutorials, can you go out searching for specific stitches or techniques that they might mention on the YouTubes? Yes. And will you probably find a bunch of videos like, okay, so let's just say you find a pattern. It uses the popcorn stitch. You've never done the popcorn stitch before. There's no tutorial. It just says popcorn stitch. So you go out and you search popcorn stitch and you find a video with instructions for a popcorn stitch. Is that appropriate? Yes. Because the creator of the tutorial did not go to that design and say, I am creating a tutorial for this pattern. They said, I'm creating a tutorial for this stitch. And then lots of people use that stitch. Now, let's say a designer comes up with a really unique way to construct something, okay? And that designer does not put forth any tutorials. For someone to go and make that design and then be like, I understand this and would have benefited from a video tutorial, so I'm just going to go make a video tutorial. That's not okay. You cannot take that person's work and create your own content off of that person's work. Unless you go to that designer and you say, I've made your sweater. It's amazing. I'm a really visual learner and the construction was a little confusing for me. I would love to make a tutorial video on how to seam the whatever or something. Construct it together. If the designer says, oh my gosh, that would be amazing. I don't do videos. Here's the parameters, like I'll link your video, you tag me and all the things and link back to my pattern. Mutual agreement there. Then that person has permission to go forth and make the video. The designer can say though, no, I don't want you to make that video. They have every right to say that. And if the designer says that, then you just let it go. But the idea that I just won't ask and surely it's fine, it's not a decision you get to make. And especially in the space, so, let's say Franklin down the street, just a person who likes to crochet, just says, I'm going to throw up a video on so-and-so's sweater construction. Oh, excuse me. Oh, some of that went down the wrong tube. That's still not okay. But when it's Franklin down the street whose job isn't influencer and isn't trying to grow and make money off of their content, it's a little more innocent. Does that make sense? But when your job is influencer, every bit of content you make is benefiting you. And the truth of that is it's making you money. So when someone whose job is to be an influencer takes another person's content, so in this case, the design, and uses it to create a bunch of their own content, they are in some way, directly or indirectly, making money off of that other person's content. So that feels real ick. So the other side of this was, so the question asked, if the pattern is free, does it matter who shares and in what detail? There are lots of ways and reasons a designer can share a pattern for free. Sharing free patterns is 100% part of a greater business strategy. And the truth is, and this is something that I think is important to learn as a casual consumer of yarn-related content. When something is free but is part of a larger business plan or strategy, free patterns mean they don't cost you money. You're not paying money to access the free patterns. But that doesn't mean that they don't make the designer money. So the two quick examples that I can think of ways that designers make money off of free patterns is when they post them on their blog and they have ads on their blog. Every time you go to their blog, so let's say, so this was a blanket pattern. Let's say you go to the blog, you make the square, and then you go back to the blog for like a week, make the square, make the square, make the square. And then you memorize the square, fine. You make the, 20 other squares you need or whatever. And now it's time to like, what do I do with all these squares? So you go back to the blog and you start looking, what do I do with all these squares? And you're on the blog again for the instructions on how to like seam the squares. Do I block the squares? Do I not block the squares? Do I block before I seam? Do I block after I seam? Yada, 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 yada. Every time you are on that blog, you are making the designer money off of the ads that are on that blog. And depending on the designer, not that this matters, but depending on what ad company they are with, that can be a significant amount of their income. But even if it's not, when you circumvent their blog and take the free, you're cheating them out of money. Even if it's not hundreds of dollars a month, even if it's tens of dollars a month. For some designers, that makes a big difference. So the other free, that's not really free, situation is if there is a pattern on YouTube. So you go to the YouTube channel, you watch stitch by stitch, and they help you make a pattern. That's free for you to consume. But if the YouTuber has monetized with YouTube, which means they make money off of the ads that YouTube shares on their channel, then every time you go back and rewatch that stitch, they get more and more money. So it's free to you, but they are still making money off of it. So then when somebody else circumvents the designer's way of making money off that free pattern and produces their own content to show people about it without asking and appropriately noting the designer, you are taking away from that person. All right? So the lessons to be learned is that free does not mean that the designer isn't making money. That we ask for permission, not for forgiveness. Por favor. Please and thank you. Don't know why I went into Spanish there. Making Colden take Spanish next year, by the way. It's going to be amazing. And that when you see someone sharing someone else's art and creativity without proper acknowledgement of who it is, it should make you feel a little icky. And if you can, in a kind way, I do not ever want to encourage nastiness, ganging up on people. But if you can, in a kind way, say, so for the yarn company that shared the glass artist that I quickly found, I went in and commented, "Oh my goodness, such beautiful work from," and tag the designer. I didn't say, "Look, you morons, it took me 10 seconds to find that this was by so-and-so. You should have tagged her." You can say it in a nice way. So if you can bring awareness. The other side of this that I think is a really positive side is that now you have the power to understand the benefit of you supporting your favorite artists and designers. Even though you aren't a giant influencer, when you tag a designer or a yarn dyer in your social media posts, you might have a cousin or a great aunt or an old college roommate who's like, "Ooh, that yarn is pretty. Maybe I'll go buy some." And so in a little way, with, no additional cost to you, you have supported that art and that creativity and helped their business keep going. So that's my opinions, I guess. I'm not going to say 2 cents because that was a heck of a lot more than 2. But I think it's an important discussion to have, because unless you're in the influencing or design community, you see free, and why wouldn't you think, well, it's just free, no big deal? Because you haven't had to monetize a blog. And it is a lot of hard work. So yeah, there you go. Let's all take a deep breath. That was intense. Question number 2. I just saw this amazing video where there was a hole in a knit sweater, and the person in the video stitched up the hole, and like magic, it disappeared. Can you do this with crochet? This is a great question. Okay, so when you get a hole in a knitted sweater, let's say you've got wear on an elbow, let's say you were, absent-mindedly doing something and just like cut a little hole in your sweater by accident, there's a pair of socks and you've worn out the heels. In knit fabric, you can re-stitch that in. So you can pick out the worn out part or the hole and re-stitch. And if you still have the same yarn, you can make it practically invisible. Can you do that with crochet? Yes and no. Here's the thing. The general feeling is that crochet cannot be darned. So like you can darn a sock and restitch part of it. You can't really do that with crochet. The way that crochet stitches are made is more complicated. And I will say that you're going to have more success fixing a spot on just a plain knit fabric, not one that's got like a bunch of texture and stuff to it. I suppose you could, but my guess is that would be way more complicated. With the way that crochet stitches are made and connected together, the fact that they're not like, I know how to explain this. Just the way that they're made, they can't as easily be fixed. However, and they can't as perfectly be fixed. I feel like I have a hair right here. However, you can do it kind of. So back in the day, many years ago, when we lived in Ohio, I was part of a mom's group. And one of the moms in the mom's group did foster care of infants. And so she had an infant, and with the infant had come a handmade blanket, a crocheted handmade blanket. She had accidentally left it on the floor, and one of her dogs hadn't chewed the blanket, but had chewed a rawhide bone while laying on the blanket, and then left the goopy rawhide bone on the blanket. And so there was a part of the blanket that was kind of torn and gross. And so she came to me and she said, "Is there any way you can fix this?" And I said, at first I said no. And then I said, you know what, I'll try my best. So what I did was I very carefully pulled out a good section around the hole and the gross part. So I got all of that out. I left long ends then so that I could weave those in and those edges weren't going to unravel. And then I very carefully crocheted back in the hole, but there was no way to connect. I couldn't crochet the bottom of the top. Okay, so the hole across here was the bottom of stitches that continued on. I couldn't crochet into those. So what I had to do then was sew those to reconnect. So it was not perfect. It was not seamless. It was not like nobody will ever notice. But it did save a blanket that was really meaningful. So do you want to do that to an elbow of a sweater you have? Maybe not. So it is possible, just not in the same way, and maybe not quite as magically seamless as in a simple knitted fabric. So there you go. I say, if you have a hole in something and you're like, can it be fixed? You might as well try, because it's already ruined. So the worst thing you're going to do is learn something, right? Right? You might as well try. Have a little adventure. Why not? All right. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you found this information helpful and interesting. If you have any questions, please use the link below to ask the question. It helps keep them all organized for me so that I can stay organized, which my type A personality really enjoys. I would love to hear your thoughts on anything we talked about. If you have tried to darn a crochet project, I'd love to hear about your adventure in that, or anything I talked about as far as free patterns and people using them. Let's keep it kind and respectful, but comment below. I'd love to know. I would also be so appreciative if you would like this video, subscribe, turn on notifications. I'm putting videos out all the time, and there'll be a new one coming tomorrow with my introduction to my Lumi shawl. And yeah, thank you so much for joining me. Happy crafting, guys.